Good days and good time zones, everybody, and welcome in, dear listeners. I am your navigator of the digital grid and guardian of the internet, Nico Silverado. Welcome back to another glorious episode of The Silver Lining. Today we talk about the world of the ever impending changes of the internet as we celebrate episode 10 with a new guest and new lines of discussions. I am joined here today by the awesome VTuber Penprah. I'm excited to get into it. Penprah, thank you so much for being here today and welcome to the show. How are you? Your voice is so raspy and deep and I love it. I hope the viewers and listeners love it too. Oh god, we got a corpse husband chat. We're gonna lose him. The corpse husband's coming in hot. But don't make you sing it. Well, it's all good though. But I'm so happy to have you here, and I'm thank you for just tuning in and just being able to be a part of today's show. I'm really stoked about this because this is a show episode that is honestly, it's kind of like where the universe has given me a new thing to talk about, something that is, in my opinion, really big and major. But I don't want to get into the big nitty gritty of that yet. I want to know, who is Penprah? Penprah, I just want to say right now, you are like the most nicely dressed model I've ever seen. Like all of the models I've had are either like really cool costumes. Like I love like your models. Like, can you explain to us like what is your model about and like who are you as a VTuber?
Of course. So background, I'm a cultivator, Chinese inspired as far as it goes. Best way to describe it is got that kind of that ancient aesthetic. Favorite playing like the Dynasty Warrior games, Romance Three Kingdoms, that kind of style. It's all about Ascension, among other things. It's kind of that style. It's very, I guess, aesthetically pleasing, flowy, among other things.
Yeah.
So
I love it. I honestly, like, the outfit is superb, and I really love, and like the gem on your headpiece is really nice. And one thing I love about having VTubers on this show is just the sheer variety of the model types and the model aesthetics. Like your model, for example, is very very clean, very proper. Meanwhile, I've got the bed head of a guy who doesn't have a job. It's fine. I have a hoodie. You can't see my hair now.
If they don't know, how could they know?
Exactly. 100%. So Penprah, what inspired you to choose like your model and your overall theme, I guess? Like what inspired you to choose your aesthetic?
I am a huge fanatic of the Warring States period of China. So with that, Romance of Three Kingdoms, well, once again, Dynasty Warriors, things like that. I'm also a very, very avid reader of wuxia novels. So yeah.
See, like for me, like I personally have only just very recently gotten into reading more Chinese manga or Chinese anime to kind of like be more involved. One of my favorite Chinese like mythical stories is the story of Sun Wukong.
Oh, Wukong's great.
I will admit the only reason why I really got into it was I played Black Myth Wukong and I wanted to like learn more about like the more like legitimate things about, he went and dealt with Buddha trying to jump off his palm. Well, guess what? Buddha's the freaking universe. You can't jump off Buddha's hand, and so on. Like, it's fun to like see like the cultural differences whenever I get to meet other VTubers. Like, because like I work with a lot of like American VTubers, so like when I get to see like British VTubers and like other people who do like other cultural things, it's just fun. And I'm really excited to have this show with you here today. So I want to get to like one of my most staple questions that I have within the show for you, Penprah. So for you, Penprah, do you consider yourself as a hobbyist streamer or as a eventual like full-time content creator?
So I am trying to get into the full-time as far as it goes. I try to make things as professional as possible. So yes.
Nice. Honestly, that's really good to see, because like right now, majority of the people that I've had on my show, about maybe 60% of them have all chosen to be openly hobbyists. And for those of you who are listening here today and don't know what a hobbyist streamer is, a hobbyist streamer, in my personal definition, is an individual who does not seek to earn financial gains from streaming or content creation. They're doing content creation out of a hobby, out of a joy, and just doing it out of simple appreciation for their free time. And then full-time content creators are people who, in my eyes at least, visually find ways to look at their content creation like a business and finding ways to vastly improve it. And so, Penprah, what kind of things do you typically make content of in your free time?
Okay, so as far as it goes, I am still learning how to do video editing. So I am working on that part for getting better. But as it goes, I technically do have some VA work that I do on the side, among other things. So I am growing on that aspect.
Yeah.
Now I'm working towards the goals that needed to make it more streamlined. So I was originally hobby. You know what? I really want to make this my thing.
Yeah. So would I assume then your concentration would mostly be to hopefully, just do a lot of VA roles, VA style content creation towards the end?
It'd be a lot of VA ASMR readings, among other things like that. Yeah.
Honestly, heck yeah. I mean, for anyone who's listening to the things today, if you guys think Penprah's got the voice of an up and coming VA, let me know down in the comment section. But hell yeah, I think it's really cool. I don't think I've had anyone on the show yet mention their what's the word I'm thinking of? Focus to VA. And for me, I've never really understood much about VA besides knowing a lot of VTubers who are VAs and they're all big animes. So how did you personally learn about your desire to do VA? What inspired you to start focusing on that?
As far as it goes, I'd probably have to say, I really came from, I'd have to say, recent Disney things. I mean, Disney in general, I've been a huge fanatic of. And of course, the anime has that influence too. But I've been trying to get more, I guess, local roles for doing things from there, building that up, and then, building my brand.
Yeah. So I will say, I have a fun, spontaneous question in regards to Disney and all that. Okay, so I want you to think of every movie you've ever seen, whether it's animated or even live action. I want to know, Penprah, if you could voice act as any character from a movie or even animated film, who would you want to VA as? For example, if I had the opportunity, I think just for memes, I would either want to I would want a VA as the robot from Treasure Planet, or I would want a VA as C-3PO from Star Wars.
Those are good choices. Now I have given this some thought. If I had to choose anything, let's see. It would always be some type of villain role. I mean, a lot of people associate my voice making it would be good for it. So
nice.
Let's see. If it was anything, I think my voice would be interesting as Scar from Lion King personally.
Oh yes, that I'm not gonna lie, that'd be fun. That'd be a fun way to hear that, because I think something about a really good voice makes or breaks an entire character. Because when you find a show where the voice of the person is so genuinely iconic, it's really hard to replace that, because the voice becomes more iconic than the character itself. It's like Darth Vader. Darth Vader of course has that really big imposing figure, but it's the voice, the mechanical breathing and all that. It's
right.
And then even in video games, just you don't need to have a face to a person. It's usually just the voice, how Master Chief and all that. So
exactly.
So Penprah, so like with you like doing your VA thing, what would you say if you had like the access to the tools or the people? What do you think would assist you the most in terms of like getting your content out there more with VA? Would you think like you posting more on like social media more often, or maybe like, you know, collabing with like a certain individual? Like, what do you think would help you the most?
Right now, it'd literally be just hunkering down and getting the short form comment or content down, because that is literally huge in today's world. With how it is, sure, it can get lost in the algorithm among other things, but main thing is hammer it out, get it out there, because the more you get out there, more people can see it. So that's number one. Two, definitely collabing with people. You know, connections are huge. If you know people, then those people know people, and that's how connections are built. So absolutely, it's just marketing at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, 100%. So where do you currently make content?
I mean, almost exclusively on Twitch, although I do have a little bit on YouTube technically. Although it's little bit was done as a joke for some readings. Like there was a card from what was it, from the V Royale card game that I made a short from for fun. It's literally called Akasupa, and the meme was that you should read the whole card because it is literally a huge line of text that does not amount to anything.
Sounds like the aristocrats meme I remember back in college. That is awesome. Yeah. So I think again, like it's really cool because again, what I love about like content creators and like, you know, doing these types of collabs is learning about like what drives different people. Because like for me, for example, I'm a graphic designer and I've been very recently very into doing YouTube, and I've finally cracked the code and understood how, you know, YouTube is finally giving me the attention that I need. And I'm trying to hopefully reach YouTube partner by the end of this year because I finally have the analytics to support my goal. And I will say, like, if you are able to like 100% jump on YouTube shorts, you know, just a 60-second shorts of you like today I'm gonna do a Hellsinger Bridge, but I'm gonna be voicing as Alucard, and then you go on from there. Like it's insane like how the internet has evolved to like the way that content has been. Like for example, you know, I remember like back like 8 years ago when streaming was bigger, you either had to be a professional gamer or you had to be a really funny YouTuber. And now
that was really just the split. It was literally just that.
Yeah. And now it's just you have to be really good at making short form content because short form content leads to long form viewers. And I think that, you know, for me, I have personally had less and less faith in Twitch because of just the discoverability and lack of because of, you know, smaller creators. And so like I do know, like I remember what was I thinking of, there's like a website I've heard that where you can actually like bid for VA contracts where you can like, oh, I'm gonna be in English, I'm looking for an English speaking voice actor who wants to be a burly man for a video game or something. Like, have you thought of like taking things away from Twitch in order to pursue your VA goals?
Yeah, I have. I've also seen like doing things on like Twitter because people do VA castings as well. So I have done demo reels. So I have recordings for those. I've almost done setting up a VGen because VGen also allows for doing VA.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Nice.
A lot of people don't. Yeah, no, they absolutely have it there. So.
So do you personally, like when you do like voice acting stuff, do you personally like looking for main character roles, supporting character roles, or just kind of anything that's kind of open?
As far as goes, anything that's really open.
Okay.
Because I mean, if needed to, like, I don't know if you ever played World of Warcraft or not.
I love VA. I love World of Warcraft.
Okay. Did you what was it? The Shadow Elves. What expansion was that again?
I think that was Burning Legion?
Literally just Shadowlands. No, that's not it. But anyways, so one of my this is just ingrained in my mind. But depending if you play this expansion or not, but an illusion. What are you hiding?
I'm not gonna lie, you're giving me PTSD because I had to do the entire quest line. We had to run around that damn city for 5+ years to.
Yep, you too. Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
so
God.
that I have that voice line down to the T in my head on the whim. So
An illusion, pulls out gun. You ain't seen nothing.
nope.
Go away. God, I'll tell you what. Like I commend anyone with the ability to do voice acting. It's like, in your opinion, Penprah, what do you think are like some of the hardest parts of getting into voice acting in your opinion? Like, what do you think is a difficult part?
So sometimes there's things just called also cold casting. So with that, you just get thrown a line, thrown a script, and you don't know the part, you don't know the context entirely, but you just have to roll with it. So you might need to try, you do your best for the scenario, you get a quick read and you just go. And you just like, okay, here it is, it's improv. And that's what a lot of it is. So you got to try to fit the scene on the spot. And that is probably one of the hardest things. So it's literally just fitting the character in any moment.
I remember there used to be a big debate a couple of years back that I remember watching, how some people think that voice acting is quote unquote not actually acting, but what it is that I remember there was an animated film that had a lot of really big actors who tried voice acting in the cartoon for the first time, and they talked about how a lot of times, like when you're physically acting, your audience can see your emotions, they can see your facial expressions, they can see your body movements, but when you're voice acting, it's the inflections, it's the ability to physically, make someone sound that they're angry even though you can't see the physical person and the animations in play, or putting signs of like, oh, their voice is very like raspy, they're having something happening. Like there's so much technique, there's so much training in voice acting, and I commend anyone, especially you for example, who is like pursuing that, because to me voice acting is scarier than, well, I don't know, I don't think it's necessarily scarier than actual acting, but I think there's a lot more pressure.
Yeah, because as far as it goes, it's they both have their difficulties and their merits, but yes, I will say that just getting the right tone, especially if it's like for an animation or something, it is hard, because you could be running the same thing for hours and hours and hours and hours, and it could be literally for one line.
Oh yeah. I remember like when I was because for me Baldur's Gate 3 is like one of my all-time favorite games of like ever, and I remember reading about how the sheer amount of dialogue that exists in that game, like I cannot imagine being stuck in a studio for months on end and you're over here like, okay, we need to play this voice line for what happens if you accidentally lick the spider in Baldur's Gate 3. Fun fact, there actually is a spider in the game, but if you lick a spider, the characters have to be like, stop licking the spider, you really licked the spider, and it's like shenanigans. And I think for me, I would rather do voice acting in a video game versus an anime, because I feel like for me, video game voice acting is more long lasting. Like it like puts itself in history, and it's really hard to get away. However, lately there's been a lot of changes been going on where gaming has been drastically changed, because have you heard like the whole Stop Killing Games initiative?
Oh, of course. I mean, it's kind of hard to avoid that topic.
It's so hard
right now. So
yeah. So for those who don't know what it is that I'm mentioning, for a really like simplified version, there's an issue going on where in the gaming industry, we're witnessing a problem where gaming companies are letting us buy these games for $60 to $80 a pop nowadays. And after a few years, games are shutting down servers and the game now becomes a digital brick and it does absolutely nothing. one of the games that sparked this outrage was a racing game known as The Crew, a game that many people spent a lot of time with, spent a lot of hundreds upon thousands of hours playing, and then suddenly the game that these people had paid for no longer ran, no longer had a system. And if you guys think about it like this, imagine playing World of Warcraft and you spent hundreds upon hundreds of dollars for DLCs, skins, and so on. And then Blizzard just said, hey, by the way, at December of 2025, gone. We're not supporting it. All the characters you've earned, gone. Like, they just straight turned off the game, aka killing the game. And the Stop Killing Games initiative is a petition that's going around where people are trying to tell gaming companies to stop removing these games that you spent time and money on. Because if, like, back then, like, if I had my Xbox 360 and I pulled out my disc right now of like Gears of War 2 or, you know, the Sonic the Hedgehog games, those games exist. But now everything's digital, everything's server based. Nothing has a physical copy, or nothing has, like, you know, a footprint anymore. And gaming is changing, and the internet itself is changing. And today's topic that we're getting into, chat, for today's lovely discussions is the impending changes of gaming and the internet. And Penprah, my first question for you in regards to this wonderfully open-ended situation is, do you feel at this moment in time that mega platforms or mega businesses are controlling the internet versus, you know, the people, and then like you know, like smaller groups?
I mean, they kind of always have been.
Yeah, because like I think what's been going on like lately too is like one of the biggest things is GTA 6. At the time of this recording, of course, you know, GTA 6 has once again been delayed again to sometime in 2026, and they recently released a thing from Rockstar saying that they are going to be requiring people to submit an ID to Rockstar in order to access the game, to prove that you're not some 9-year-old munchkin trying to walk into a strip club in GTA 6. And there's two sides to this problem. On one end, you have the it makes sense part where you don't want to have minors to have access to graphic games, graphic, you know, content, because children or parents refuse to do anything. But then on the other end, it comes down to the issue where it's an invasion of privacy, and it shouldn't be companies telling us to, you know, give IDs to play a video game. But Penprah, what are your thoughts about that?
All right, so for one, I've been really always avid on the ESRB rating system, like always. But I mean, there's always that side of it where it is also the parents' responsibility to make sure, hey, this rating, it is this rating for that reason. They should not, you know, a 9-year-old should not be playing, you know, an M game. There are reasons for that specifically.
Yeah.
Or, you know, there's what, E10? The E10's not usually used anymore, but you know, there's that. But
unless you're playing the Peppa Pig game. The Peppa Pig game's the only game I've seen recently that's been actually 10.
Right, like I said, it's not used often, but you know, there's the ESRB rating system for a reason. So, with that, there's like I said, I'm pretty avid on that one. I kind of grew up with it myself, but I'm a firm believer on it. Now, two factor is that when it comes to online for anything, it always says with, you know, disclaimer policy, we cannot judge the actual rating if it's online play, because they can't control what someone's going to say online. No, and most of the time it's going to be M plus, let's just put it that way.
Old-fashioned Call of Duty lobbies make you cry.
Yeah, let's just call it good old MW2 days. So there we go.
God, those were lobbies where boys
the Wild
became
West,
men.
yeah, the Wild West, yeah. But yeah, so there's that factor, and then number 3, you're right, it is an invasion of privacy. 100%. They, because one, they're gathering that info. How they're storing that info, we don't know. That is also another factor.
Yeah.
What they're using it, they could sell it, make more profit. Who knows? Like there's that factor on top of it. So, and thing is, technically, I mean, if a child has it, how are they going to prove one? You can't really prove ID for a minor unless like one, I guess, fake ID or state IDs exist, but state IDs are usually like 12, 13, which you did, hey, auto deny anyways, among other things.
Yeah.
And so it's or I guess passport, but like anyways, it's no, that should not be controlled by a company. It should be done by parents, and it really should be. It's been gone too long for letting things slide from parent side. I will say that much.
Yeah, and I think like what's a big issue with it as well is that, you know, you look at the situation where, you know, they've like, in a way you have to think about it where they have to do this because they know parents don't give a damn, but also a very vast majority of people are going to not be able to have access to things because, for lack of better words, the system's going to work. Many minors are going to lose access to certain parts of, you know, gaming because, you know, 8 out of 10 of them are not going to know how, or they're not going to have the brain cells to even think about doing workarounds. And of course, you're going to get those, you know, children who should go to juvie, do their own like workarounds because they think they're all hot stuff. And the scary thing about it is, as of right now, for this episode particularly, it's up in the air. There's a lot of what ifs, there's a lot of unknowns, and above all else, it's kind of getting crazy because, you know, it's not just gaming, it's now evolving. It's evolving to where now it's things like even YouTube is going to start implementing a thing as well. Because for those who do not know, as of August 13th of 2025, YouTube is going to be implementing a age restriction requirement where if you are below the age of, I think unfortunately they kind of capped it at 16, where they're going to, you know, remove access to normal YouTube and require, because the way that they're doing it is they are doing where they will base it upon your search history on YouTube as well as the age of your account. Now, for me, I don't have the search history of a 9-year-old. I'm not looking up Roblox. I'm not looking up Minecraft. I'm not looking up Labubu collections. I hate those things. But side note, Labubu scare the shit out of me. Burn them.
They're like the new Furbies. No, get rid of them.
Yeah, Labubu's gonna have an animated series one of these days. But anyway, I digress. And it's getting like, I now, with myself having been on YouTube for years and I have been streaming live on YouTube, I am unfortunately leaning more and more towards the side of please cut them off, because parents are not going to do it. Because the reason why I say this is when I'm live streaming on YouTube very often with my lives, every single day I have literal thumb-sucking children walk into my stream. And you can tell they're children because of how they talk and their lack of knowledge of internet safety. They're telling me their IRL names, they're telling me their ages, and they are doing this whole thing where they are doxing themselves, and it's getting to the point where it's very, very scary. And even for me as a creator, it's terrifying. I had to for the first time in over 6 years of having my Discord, I had to turn my Discord to 16 plus because my YouTube audience, who was mostly younger individuals, don't know how to protect themselves. And parents don't know how to protect themselves because to them, the internet is just the internet. You know, they don't know this necessity of, hey, don't tell your age online. Don't use your real name if at all possible, you know? And it's a terrifying evolution.
Yeah, no, that's internet safety is very, very bad right now as far as the individual goes. They're people are too comfortable nowadays. That's the easiest way to put it.
Yes. Yeah.
I've had babies, and now it's getting worse.
Yeah. No. And like for me, like, you know, what's worse about it is, you know, YouTube has a thing where it's like, hey, you're not allowed to be in a live stream until you're at least 13. But I've had multiple people unironically say, oh, I'm 6 or oh, I'm 9. And it's like, what do you mean? How in God's name are you just going to tell me your age? And when they're like, oh, I'm using my grandpa's account, I'm using my brother's account, just like
it's bad.
It's horrible because, you know, I'm not gonna knock you for being a younger child, but I also gotta knock you because you're just outright telling me this personal information. And when I the other day I had to tell a younger audience member, hey, don't talk about this particular topic, please, because it does get a little bit political. And then they proceed to ask me, how is this political? I'm just talking about this. Like, what's the conversation? Oh yeah, we were talking about gun ownership in America.
Yes. That can be very political. Yes, it can.
And
so,
and the person was like, "How is gun ownership political?" I'm like, "You've never." I can tell you're not even double digits. I literally found out the kid's like 9 years old. I'm like, brother, what do you mean? Like,
that's a whole separate 2 to 3 week stream process. So it's just like one of those things where, like, you know, I'm almost 30 and I'm slowly starting to sympathize with my younger parents and other adults that I've talked with in the past, where they just say, these kids are annoying as hell, these kids are stupid. And now here I am almost 30. I'm like, you know what? They were right. I was like that when I was like low-key when I was in high school. I was already like that.
Oh yeah,
which is bad. So.
I was a little bit more like whimsical in high school, but then towards college I started being like, okay. But it recently started to make more sense now that I stream and I get a lot of younger kids who just show up to stream, and I always tell them, don't dox yourself. 5 minutes later they dox themselves, and it's like, but nevertheless, so it's one of those things where, you know, children have access to the internet and they have access to all manners of stuff, because a child could go to the internet right now and type in Amaranth Twitch hot tub stream, and then bam, there she is in all her bikini glory, and you have some minor child watching whatever. You can go to OnlyFans without much, like, the internet security in today's world is the equivalent of putting a Cheeto on a door lock. It's there for the aesthetic, but it doesn't stop anyone.
Are you of this age? Okay. That is it.
Are you sure you're 18? Yes. Meanwhile,
yeah, that is literally it. Did you actually read this? No.
It reminds me of the South Park episode where it's like, oh, hey, did you read the license and agreement? It's like, no, why would I? Well, you agreed to become the human Sentai pad. Legally, we're allowed to do this.
Oh my gosh.
Nobody reads.
No one reads terms and conditions. I have to deal with that every day. So
it is genuinely one of those situations where, like, you don't think these issues are real until it actually happens to you. And, you know, as creators, we're not responsible for educating our audience about how to be safe, but we are allowed to remind them. So like, with all this information talking back and forth, do you believe at this point companies need to step in because no one else is doing it? Or do you think companies need to take a step back and there needs to be more initiative towards the parents?
So it's two-way street. Number one.
Yep.
There could always be just more safety features. Number one.
Yeah.
By the companies themselves. Number one, they're in the right direction with going with it, but asking for ID to prove that is in the wrong path of it. they took a left instead of a right. So
Yeah.
So with that, like I said, it's always been the case. They're supposed to be on the parents. That has never worked, unfortunately. At least I should say never worked. It has seldomly worked. I should rephrase that. If it was by the companies, specifically, I would have to say, if I was in that position, running a company, running with, okay, how would we implement it?
Yeah.
There would be the best way to go about it would be, one, you have like dedicated servers.
Yeah.
One is dedicated servers. Okay, here's for this and this. Okay, now of course you'll have issues with that. However, what you always have to do, like with Steam, of course, with Steam, you technically have to do your setup. You have to do it with age. I mean, technically, you can rip. There's probably some way to have that ripped from that, implement it as some type of pathing, so it can read it easily. I don't know, but there must be some way for it to at least pull from an info base somewhere. Like, your info is everywhere.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
You think you have privacy, but really it's not.
No.
They just haven't accessed it yet.
Right. But yeah, like I said, there has to be some way to do it. As far as it goes, like I said, you technically have to do age verification anyways on Steam.
Yeah.
Among other companies, whoever you do it with. So if there's some implementation that way, I think that'd be the right route, and specifically being server base. Now, of course, there will be some XYZ person who gets around said protocols and goes into servers that they're not supposed to, but baby steps.
Yeah. No, that's honestly so fair. And so what I want to talk about then too is, I firmly believe that creators have a lot of influence on how we work within the realms of the internet. And I think in a way this upcoming change is going to definitely affect content creators, and this can both work in a positive way but also a semi-negative way, because think of it like this. If you're doing a YouTube video and we currently have open YouTube, we're going to call it that for now. With open YouTube, you have every audience member, every age group is going to be able to find your content. In other words, more clicks, more views. With this gated YouTube that is going to potentially happen on the 13th, we might have a chance to, one, have our audience be more catered to certain adult ages, but also it could potentially affect analytics. Because, like, for example, you have YouTubers who are like Markiplier, moderately, give or take, wholesome individual. They have a lot of videos for a lot of, variety of games that are not necessarily like super graphic, requires 18 plus to look. I think that when you come into the issue of gated YouTube, you're going to see a big drop off in viewer interactions. Like, for example, like I said, I have a lot of younger individuals in my YouTube channel whenever I do live streams, and I think when the gates get closed, I'm going to lose a lot of people. Do you think this is going to affect everybody? Do you think this is going to affect the community?
Oh, 100%. Because one, this is just me throwing it on the wind. Like, number one, a lot of people like watching, just because, kind of running back, like watch liking pack openings. Pack openings are effectively gambling. Yes. So, number one, they probably will have, because of gating, you probably won't see pack opening streams as much on the gated side of YouTube for younger audience, because literally it's gambling. At the end of the day, you are spending money to try to get a return investment. So, yeah. So number one, absolutely there. Two, yes, I mean, a lot of people, one with Markiplier, he has varying levels of content, from anywhere from FNAF, which, is definitely better for any level of audience member, to things that are definitely a bit more obscure and risque. So,
Oh yeah.
that are definitely not findable. So yeah.
Hashtag calendar.
Yeah. Yes. Calendar.
The calendar. But yeah, I think that's very fair. And honestly, like what's interesting too is like, you know, the creator economy is going to become very different, it's going to be affected in a lot of ways. And do you think that the creator economy has become more sustainable as more people are going to have to, you know, pick a side, whether they're on the kid side YouTube or the gated YouTube?
I think, oddly enough, I do think it actually still will be pretty sustainable because one, they will have to, well, as far as it goes, they'll have to, gambling terms, they'll have to double down.
Yes.
In their lane. Like, okay, they'll have to double down. They can't split the tens. You know, they can't go one route or the other. They'll have to literally just go through there. So
Yeah.
so one, they'll have to just go one way or the other because, like I said, split analytics. Of course, they can probably have a separate channel.
Yeah.
That's the one way around it. They can have their separate channels. Here's the one more that's kid friendly. Here's the other one. That way they can still get their revenues from different things and still hit their key audiences. Sure, there might be small hits here and there, but that'd be the road they'd have to go down.
Yeah. No, I do think that's honestly very fair. And, you know, I think that with the way that the internet has kind of changed, you know, I think, again, it comes down to just the way that we absorb content. Because like we said earlier, you know, long form contents are not as often used and or sought after, but now it's all mostly short form content. And so like, I think that there's been a really interesting situation in regards to the algorithm, you know? So Penprah, my question for you would be like, how do you believe the shift between going more into short form content versus long form content has affected creators?
I mean, let's see. From long term, maybe, of course, we always had the Let's Plays. Like,
Yes.
come on.
Oh yeah.
The Let's Plays were huge. Early days, like 2011, 2014, maybe 2016. That was the major part for watching because, you know, shorts weren't quite a thing. We had like YouTube Vine and things like that, but like,
Yeah.
it wasn't really for that. It was a little bit different. But yeah, the shift I'd say technically is better because one, people have no attention span.
No.
Nowadays.
We do not.
No. So yeah, blame it on the ADD, baby.
Not the ADD.
Yeah. But yeah, so number one, very limited attention spans. So with that, all right, this is done. Scroll. Number one, it's very much better in that case because you don't have the people that can nowadays just sit and absorb all that long content.
No.
Of course, you do have the streams, you have that there, but that is just part of it. Your streams nowadays are the quote unquote Let's Plays.
Yeah.
But from there you have to really dig in. So it's, as far as it goes, I think that the change is technically for the better in the long run because of how society has changed.
That's fair. And I think that with these like big changes, it's one of those where it becomes an issue of like how we as creators are able to hopefully, you know, find ways to, you know, still grow without, you know, being like lost in the swamp of like everybody else doing the same exact thing over and over and over. And, you know, creators, we got to protect ourselves, and we got to protect ourselves from, you know, being stuck with the rabble, but then also we got to be very careful with how technology is going. You know, like for example, like for me personally, YouTube's getting flooded with more and more usage of AI content creation and AI like videos and all that. And, you know, what's even worse is like my least favorite thing I've been seeing on YouTube is basically, it's like not necessarily AI deep fakes, but basically someone gets a video like a Minecraft parkour run, and then they slap in some AI voice generation of a celebrity, and it just narrates what's going on. And it's like, it's this whole issue of like minimum effort content creation that's just sweeping the internet.
Oh yeah, I really don't like that either. It's so low effort.
It is.
It's where's the creativity?
So do you, like, for you personally, do you believe that creators are becoming lazier, or do you think the technology is just becoming easier?
I say technology is becoming easier. You still think as a creator, you still have to. Okay, plan ahead. If you do, a lot of times, a lot of people just don't plan ahead. You know, we ball.
We ballin'.
So one, like, a lot of people set up scripts among other things in advance, make sure everything is there, especially like events like this, or hey, we're going to talk about this today, or we're going to go over and announce this. People sometimes need scripts, get things set up, or hey, this is the game plan for today. At this time, we're going to cut this off, do a segue. Some people need that structure.
Yes.
So, and especially if it's short form, you definitely need a script.
Yes.
Because otherwise, you're not going to be like, oh yeah, today I'm gonna read off this card. This is why I like the card. It's good because I like it. No, you don't do that. That's bad content.
Yeah.
You need a plan. You need to get set up there. So I think number one, script. You have to be creative. Number one, of course, there's the set formulas. Okay, you do this, and this, and this because it works.
Yeah.
But you still have to have your own twist on things to make it you, so it's not just copying someone else.
Yeah.
Number two, the new systems do make things easier. 100%. I'm not going to lay that down. Things make it easier.
Yeah.
Because you can just, what is it, like TikTok among other things, people just do that AI voice reading over.
Yeah.
Well, right now Italy has the whole AI generated image issue that for their shorts that's flooding their YouTube algorithm. So it's I think it's technically becoming the systems are making things easy, which makes it so that you have to work harder. Let's put it that way. Yeah. That's the end goal of what I want to say. I just kind of rambled on there nonsensically for a bit.
Oh no, you're good. Like, it honestly, it does make sense. So I want to ask you a personal question then, and this is about this. Do you believe a creator who uses AI to create their content, do you believe that breaches their trust as a creator, or do you think it more so is just a system of where they're using the technology to make content?
So that depends on how they're using it. Okay. So number one, people love their ChatGPT. ChatGPT is AI. So number one, someone might not be an English scholar, English major, might not know how to word things correctly. And they might like, hey, I need this. They have the structure, they have the mindset, but they might not quite have the final push to get it to where they need. So number one, they have the tool, they have the access, they just don't have that little oomph to get over the edge.
Yeah.
So number one, it's not all AI. Not all AI is bad. There's a lot of AI that is a lot of good, especially like for graphics cards, among other things. There's a lot of good. It's just how you end up using it cannot be. That's a whole different subject. I went and rambled and segued a little bit, but
you're fine. It like it is unfortunately like a really big thing now, because because you have individuals out there who, the moment they detect the hint, the sniffling of AI involved in your content creation, they feel like either A, it's like, oh, you don't use your own creativity, use a machine to do things for you. Like, for me personally, I use ChatGPT a lot because I have a horrendous grammar and spelling error problem whenever it comes to making content, making paragraphs for my YouTube descriptions. Like I use ChatGPT in order for me to helpfully, you know, allow me to have visibly grammatically accurate stuff, because I can't do that sort of thing very easily, and modern day spell check doesn't do that well. And you know, nothing sucks more than I'm trying to post a semi-serious like YouTube or even a Discord message, and then someone on my YouTube's like, hey Nico, you misspelled this is the wrong version of that. It's like,
Yeah, that's why I specifically said in ChatGPT as that easy form of AI, because a lot of people use it, especially for that instance. So that's why I said not all AI is bad. Now, as far as it goes, if you're using AI generate images as a baseline, you know, that everyone has a different take on that.
Yeah.
So I know you, with you being a graphic designer, yeah, I know you're 2 cents on that part. I'm also dabble in art, and then people do AI voices. AI voices in the gaming industry, among other things, is starting to arise a bit more. So that is a whole other situation.
Yeah. And again, I think there's, to a lack of a better extent, a moral obligation that we have to our community to disclose when and how we create certain things. Because again, you know, as a graphic designer, I'm not the biggest fan of AI generation stuff, because I can tell what it is from a glance most of the time. But also at the same time, there's a system where, you know, if you are a web designer, for example, you know, especially if you're an indie web designer, you don't have the money to afford a higher quality stuff, and sometimes you don't have the time frame for it. And there's grounds for everything to make it reasonable, to make it useful. And you know, I'm never, like, for me personally, my moral obligation is that I will not use it for myself, because I don't want that to be how I make my content. If anything, I want to, like, where it's like, quote unquote, suffer through it. And also, like, we are still in a day and age where people do genuinely respect and they adore human creativity. They can tell when something was made by a human versus by AI. And there are AI well, we're going to call them AI sympathizers for now. There are AI people who are like, you know, AI is fine when it's used in a way that expresses creativity, because it lets more people do stuff. And I understand that, but again, that's like a whole different type of episode. But
exactly.
but yeah, like the changes are kind of insane, because you know, we don't know like what's real, what's not real, what's actual image of like a game teaser trailer, what's a fan image. And you know, I think in a way, live streaming is becoming more and more important versus sorry, I just had a thing there. Anyway.
No worries.
My wife's having an old lady moment. She's younger than me, haha. But anyway, I think it's a situation where, you know, people are looking for in the moment live streaming content versus the pre-recorded unknowns, because the problem is that nowadays, like, when something's been pre-recorded, when something's been like made in advance, we don't know how much of it was made with AI. Case in point, Markiplier, famous YouTuber, you know, like a pillar of the content community. He was under fire because people were making false claims that he was using AI for his content. And
yeah, I did see that recently.
And this was a huge problem, because one, Markiplier is thousands of videos who puts a lot of effort into a lot of things. And I watched, he did a whole live stream that I tuned into for a little bit, and basically you have these individuals out there who are claiming that Markiplier used AI to make his videos. But the funny thing is, the man has receipts. The man has every Photoshop file, every document that he's on. Like, he has proof that he's handmade and photoshopped every single thing that he's made. Because, like, that's another thing too. People don't believe creators anymore because they think that everything's AI. They think everything was made with AI. Nothing was made by a human anymore. Like, every so often, like, I'll get people who come into my streams unironically and says, "Oh, you're a VTuber. You must not be a real human then. You must be an AI streaming." And it's like, ugh, horrible.
Well, yes, I am.
Oh God.
Now, please.
Oh God. Run! They're in the walls! They're in the goddamn walls!
Yeah, but exactly.
but yeah, it's one of those things where, like, we're in a really weird system in a really weird way. So I think, like, for us, I think what we need to kind of like hope for and aim for as content creators is just to, you know, maybe have a bit more barriers in regards to how content is created. Like, I do appreciate this with YouTube, where they do require AI based content to be disclosed right off the rip. You know, like, they have a setting in their videos where it's like, hey, is this using AI? Boom. Because, you know, like, it's a very, like, because there are people who are actively looking for AI and people who are actively looking for non AI based content. So Penprah, do you believe, like, we need to, for lack of words, accept the involvement of AI, or would you rather AI kind of disappear and kind of like return to just human based creativity?
So that is a interesting one. So
Go a lot of ways.
as far as it goes, at its core, I always say that it really, AI is, like I said earlier, it is really good for a lot of advancements and a lot of different things. AI is good for a lot. On a creative standpoint, it's not perfect. So I think for creative side of things specifically, it should be straight away from and should be more individual. But for a lot of technological advancements, among other things, I think it's okay. I'm really torn on that whole part because, like I said, it's good for a lot of things, but also not. So it really depends on which aspects it really affects us.
Yeah.
I'm literally two sides of a coin on it. So
because both sides are fair and both sides have merit to the opinion, you know, and it's hard to just say this way or the highway. So Penprah, do you believe in, like, let's say 5 to 10 years, do you think the definition of what a content creator is as a career will change very differently to what we see now?
I mean, it's changed since like 4 years ago. So yes.
Yeah, because, like, in my eyes, how I envision it's going to potentially, for lack of words, evolve into is that because the problem is like any new thing, we're gonna have a situation where people are going to hate it for a while, and then they're gonna bite the bullet and just they're gonna use it a little bit because it's just the way the technology is at the end of the day, you know. And I think the problem is that we're in the stage right now where everybody says, no, AI is bad, don't use it. But I guarantee you within 2 or 3 years, maybe even less, we're gonna have those exact same people say, I have to use AI because I can't keep up with the demand, or I can't keep up with the trends anymore.
I mean, like, one of my examples earlier was a graphics card. Graphics cards nowadays are implementing AI for their frame generation. So you literally can't avoid that one.
Yep.
So
yeah, it's interesting, you know. It's interesting to see, like, how this has been, like, kind of going on, you know.
Yeah.
So going back to, you know, just the ever implementing changes within the realms of the internet, you know, I think that, you know, one thing I will say that has been really interesting is, like, how, you know, creators make money. And on, like, the last little thing I want to talk about with, like, the AI is, like, I saw a thing, I don't know how real it is yet, YouTube is supposedly going to be implementing a rule where if your content uses AI / reuses stuff, they're going to remove monetization. Do you think AI should at all be allowed to make money with their videos on YouTube? Considering like, you know, how it's made.
That a lot of technically that steals from other content. I say that if it's technically from, so a lot of times it's AI voices or AI imagery. So with that one, if it's specifically the imagery, that one is interesting. I'd say that if it's imagery based, that it should not, because like I said, it does pull images, reference among other things from it. But a lot of people use the very generic like voices specifically. Was it like Windows Sam type voice?
Oh yeah.
Among other things. So like it's, you can almost say that one is effectively AI, because you put it in, it just reads it off, and it, you know, it's basically text to speech, but it's just that. Now, another thing you could also argue on that note is because of YouTube's recent element they added in with the language filter. Technically, how they can basically read your voice, and it does that. I don't know if that would change the argument at all for monetization on that, because you can technically turn that on or off for the money's sake. So that I'm not sure on, but
yeah,
you know, hiring people to do voices in other languages is expensive. So
yes, it is. Heck yeah.
So I probably, that wouldn't affect you.
No, but you know, doing different types of media does get expensive. But I think that it was good to kind of like talk about that, because like I've been seeing about a lot of this the past like week and a half since I've done a show, and I was like, I gotta talk to somebody about it. And it's good to feel like I'm not crazy, because again, this episode is taking into account all the crazy changes, and not just in regards, because we've talked about, you know, the implementation of AI with content creation. We've talked about the implementation of, for lack of words, gatekeeping. And, you know, now I wanted to kind of get into more about the concept of the changes of how, you know, platforms, how streaming itself has been, because streaming has become a very interesting system as well, because nowadays there's a platform for everybody, and there's a platform for anything you want to stream. You know, if you want to stream spicy content, that exists. If you want to stream gaming content, that exists. And you know, recently there's been a bunch of changes in regards to multi-streaming. And for those who are listening and don't understand what multi-streaming is, multi-streaming in a basic sense is where you as a content creator / streamer choose to implement the same live stream on camera, but you're putting it to different locations. For example, what you're seeing right now is being live recorded here today over on our Twitch. But if I wanted to, I could technically live stream this over on YouTube, Kick, and so on. And speaking of Kick, I will just make a public statement. I refuse to ever stream on Kick, because that platform is a dying horse with an infection.
And how it was built and how it got its money is all built on gambling. So that's a whole nother story for another day.
Yeah, so, like the short and sweet for me is like, I don't mind that it was built on gambling. I mind that it was more or less a copy and pasted of Twitch's algorithm, but just turned green. But also, like, I saw a thing recently that Twitch and many other locations are trying to fight against view bots, and view bots are becoming a really huge, crazy problem, because a content creator by the name of Nutty, for example, he's a very good content creator. There's a lot of developments of apps and streamer based things, and he did a thing where he was showing a thing on his phone about him streaming on Kick, and every single stream he gets is flooded with hundreds on hundreds of view bots. And recently Twitch released a statement and an article talking about how they are trying to implement ways to combat view bots. However, and here's where the questions come in. People have been seeing that their lurking viewers are being targeted. And what's really scary is, I guarantee you some of the top 10 streamers that are online have thousands on thousands of view bots. And I think it's obviously view bots. If you use view bots, you don't deserve your community. You don't deserve to be a creator if you want to, pay to have a false start, like Penprah, do you believe view bots have do you think there's a point or a limit to where view bots can be acceptable in this very hyper competitive day and age?
I actually have a very unique example for this.
Love that.
I have a buddy who actually paid for view botting. Yes. I think he was like for 50 view bots basically. This is like 2020. So basically when everything was starting to really pick up for streaming especially, and he used it to help him. It's kind of a lower channel at first. He averaged around 5-6 people on the average. Respectable for a lower person for kind of starting out. But then he's like, you know what if I do this, inflate my numbers, and if people see it, people will come. And it ended up working out for him. Then he eventually got rid of it once he replaced the numbers. So it's, in my sense, it is technically, it is gaming the system 100%.
Oh yeah, because it's impossible nowadays to grow on certain places like Twitch, because Twitch is so heavily based on viewership, and if you can't get out of that 10 viewership average, you will never be able to be seen as an up and coming individual.
Exactly.
And even on YouTube,
I just got back to my 10. For a while there I was at 20, and then I got and then basically a couple things happened, and then I was down to 3, 4, and now I'm finally back over that 10 threshold. Nice. So I'm just
yeah, it's so huge. It's so it's insane, because in a way, yes, like you said, it's gaining the system, it's using tools around you, and it's one of those things where would you have less respect for a streamer had you known that they're okay, let's put a better scenario in. Let's say you have a Twitch partner that you adore watching, and you see that they have hundreds of authentic viewers. Would you have less respect for them had you known that they use view bots to get over the initial hump?
Being honest, I still respect them. Like I said, I respect the game. As far as it goes, because I know how Twitch is, I know the algorithm. It worked for my buddy. Like I said, I don't want to play that game. But as far as it goes, no, I would not have. Sure, maybe if they were at a 9, maybe an 8.7, I was sure a hair. But come on, it's but like I said, it's game in the system. They're not gonna be okay, you're not my favorite anymore. Toy Story them. No, you're as far as it goes. I get it. I get it. At the end of the day, that's a hot take by me, though. A lot of people will not have that opinion. I'm a rare example on this one, as a disclaimer for people listening in.
Yeah, because for me, it's trying to think of how to word this properly without sounding like damnation. I think that in a lot of ways, I do believe that there does come a point where you have to do something drastic to try to get yourself out there. And I'm not gonna lie, I've had multiple instances over the past year and a half to get 5 to 6 view bots just to get myself over that really, really weird point. But the reason what always stops me is just because I get that viewership average, but then what, because there's a situation where I guarantee I guarantee there were some people that I've used to look up to that probably view botted a bit to get to where they're at. And, you know, honestly, I'd rather not have found out from them. Like, I'd rather,
Right.
like, if you're going to view bot, at least find a way to sneakily remove the view bots. And then, you know, don't, like, basically, I don't want to find out. I don't want to catch you. You know, that to me is the part where I would have a lot less respect, because if I caught you suddenly and you now have, like, if I watch you being like from a 4 to 5 viewer streamer and you suddenly jump up to 20 out of nowhere, red flag in it. But, you know, if I don't know, it's a system, it's a game, it's how you do it, and I think it's really interesting, you know. And I think I sometimes I blame the platform. And the next question I wanted to kind of bring up to you here, Penprah, is like, do you believe streamers should be more dedicated or more committed to one or two platforms, or do you think streamers should be as diverse and outward as possible?
Now, more platforms as in like, okay, you got your Twitch and YouTube, or more platforms as in like, more platforms are like, okay, you have your specific things, like, okay, you have your specific categories you initiate into, and you want to like double down in those things. I just want to make sure I clarify on the question. So
let's say for this first part, we'll talk about like platforms, like websites, and like,
okay,
like platforms and like streaming places.
Okay, I just want to clarify on the question. So
yeah,
all right. So number one, you have to branch out. That is not, that is that is say if you're on Twitch only or YouTube only, whatever it is, ABC, you have to have something else somewhere. Now, of course, people have had their successes, but you know, rare gems.
yeah.
You have to do, you know, you have your Instagram, you have your TikTok, you got I think Red Note's dead now because TikTok's back. But anyways,
yeah.
Let's see, we've got, you know, you got that, we got Reels, you've got
So many
Facebook.
places.
You got Facebook still exists for streaming
Somehow.
So yes.
Yeah, because like, so the reason why I wanted to get into that is, you know, for like a little bit of a personal part, you know, is I have been streaming for about 7 years myself, and I have been always Twitch guy, hands down, holding on to it, you know, because Twitch has been like my home, because I lost my home of Mixer a couple of years back, you know, back when that big shutdown happened, and I didn't want to go to Facebook. And what happened to me was, you know, I have been committed to Twitch for a very long time, and I would of course do like, you know, TikToks and shorts on YouTube. However, recently, my big change is that I've noticed that my YouTube community has become hyper engaged in comparison to Twitch. And, you know, I've had this situation where, okay, I either commit my energy to places like YouTube more, where I'm more likely to earn partnership, but then I'm gonna potentially put my Twitch in the back burner, or, you know, I try to hype up Twitch even though it's putting in more effort but less results. But basically, the reason why I asked the question earlier was like, you know, like, do you think as a creator it's better to focus on what's working or focus on what's been where you put most of your time in?
Yeah. Yeah. As far as it goes, definitely, you have your main lane. I will say that you have your main lane. You still want to branch out, mind you. You want to have your other places, because those are going to be your, I should say this, you got your bridge, that's going to be hardline. You got the other parts that you get post on, you know, for the medias, and those are going to be your support beams for the said bridge. As far as it goes, that is how the best way to put it. So with that, like, as a reference, okay, I could be on, you know, you got your Patreon. Like, Patreon's a good way for people to do, you know, to help support as well, for anything, because of how cuts are. You know, people do like Ko-fi for any like redemptions as well. I'm just trying to think of like any for things for cuts as far as like any subscription based things. Now the other thing people do is let's see. Why am I blinking?
Blink.
Mind crush. There we go. Anyways. Let's see. I actually just I completely lost my own track of mind. That's weird.
No, you're all good. But yeah, and I understand what you mean, like, because like there are ways to support a creator out there, and you know, I think that what's really interesting is that, you know, I live by this old, for lack of better words, like advice for a long time, is that you go on YouTube and you grow on YouTube so you can grow on Twitch, because you know, many people will go to YouTube first, building videos, building an audience, to then eventually bring that to Twitch, which to me is such an ass backwards situation, because like, you know, I feel like the fact that you have to go to another platform to grow on your main platform is really odd. But again, that's also like just the fault of Twitch and the fault of like how those content places are going. And you know, I think that, you know, the changes of how the internet's been like, you know, handling platforms and handling, you know, the growth and competition is insane. Like, I thought Kick would be dead by now, but also, you know, I think there's just a lot of policy changes going around. So Penprah, where do you, like, as a creator, where do you see yourself in 5 years in terms of like, you know, making content, doing VAs, or do you see yourself maybe not going as far as 5 years and just, you know, retiring?
Sure. So, yes, as far as this question goes, it would be 5-year plan. Number one, I should definitely be a partner with him then. Right now, I already have a set plan of doing a growth of 4 viewers a month. Like, that is a very reasonable number, by the way. Yeah. On its own. So, because that'll eventually get you there. And that's just at a minimum for that. Now, from there, so with that, just with the steady growth of the year, everything easily partner, and from there partner would eventually be able to get full time, because you get full time, that gives you more access to more connections, doing, you know, collabs with more people, and thus, you know, I could easily get more viewable. I definitely don't see myself graduating unless something major like life event happened. Like that would be like, okay, hey, it wouldn't be entirely a graduation, it'd be more like hiatus. More so. But that's the main thing there. But main plan in 5 years would definitely hit partner, because of one, I'm already hitting my average regrowth already. For the plan. 2, I'm actually, like I said, hunkering down. I have my set goals. I'm working towards the goals, and things are in a great projection for me right now. So with everything I'm working on. So 1, more VA roles. 2, probably, I don't know. As long as I'm not in a Google.com, I'm okay, right?
Yeah, you're pretty much, honestly. My experience with Penprah. Gotta love that. And honestly, like, the VTubing space has become a very interesting spot as well in terms of the change of the internet too, because like, I think that we're kind of in an era right now at least in the English VTuber space. I think agencies are gonna be not looking to add people for a little bit of time, especially in the English VA section, because, you know, I think people, especially indies, have lost faith in agencies. And if an agency ever approached you to join their agency, would you take it, or would you prefer to be an indie all the way?
So I've actually had this discussion a couple of times.
Nice.
I'm actually still open to agencies, and with that, I've not, you know, things happen. As far as it goes, I mean, sure, there have been over this last year, let's just call it a year,
Yeah.
there has been a lot of turmoil regarding that. But as far as it goes, there's still a lot of good companies. I've heard a lot of, let's just say, news tubers talking about probably the new way to really go about it is more specifically groups than it is more with an agency or a corpo. But no, if I did get reached out, I got, put in my audition, I got accepted, I actually probably would, because specifically, like I said, it would be a hiatus, because most likely it'd be a contract thing. You go for X amount of years, you end up leaving. Hey, you got your fan base from that that section. You can run back to your original self. You are still you. That is the thing.
Yeah.
So yes, even though it is, you're not, your persona, you can still be you.
Yeah. So I think like what's interesting too is the fact that, when we look at how, like, in your personal opinion, Penprah, do you believe that the streaming space, both VTuber and non-VTuber, is in an like positive green growth, kind of stagnant in the gray, or are we going downhill in the red?
So I think it's actually in a good direction right now, personally.
Okay.
Number one, people do not like getting ready for streams. Number one. No. So number one, yeah, people get tired of the makeup, tired of getting their hair done a certain way for streams, among other things.
Yep.
Tired. Number two, people might have a medical condition, among other things, that they don't want to be easily shown on stream, among other things, and this gives the easy access for, hey, look, I am this is me. That's all that's all they need to know. This is my character, this is my voice. So number two, there is that. But main thing is that it's in a good direction right now. It is still, quote, mind you, it is still a very niche part of the streaming world.
Yeah.
Out of all things, mind you, it has been on the rise, but it's still niche.
Yeah.
There are a lot of places that don't know about VTubers, among other things, because you have the big numbers. It has become more known, but if you look at the overall like analytics, it is such a small pool of your standard streamer versus a VTuber. So
yeah.
But I would say I have seen a lot of people who are standard end up getting a VTuber model because they're like, I'm not feeling good this day, whatever X reason, and they just get it.
Yeah.
Because that way they have it.
I like that.
I'm
happy. I think it's good to hear that people do see things are in a positive way. Like, I don't think it's like a spike upward. I think it's like a gradual uphill, because
it's gradual. It's definitely not a spike. You're right.
No, because like in my opinion, I think what's the reason why I think it's still in an upward direction is that creators, especially in the VTuber space, are starting to recognize the value of independent creativity and also the power of independent management. Because I think what happens for a lot of people is that they want management. They want to be told how to be bigger and how to be better. Hence why a lot of them want to be a part of an agency, for VTubers at least. And I think that right now creators are kind of being given this way of understanding, hey, here's how you can grow, and here's how you can manage your content and your growth. And I think we're finally reminded the power of being an independent streamer, not being told what to do, not being told how to, basically how to make our own content. Because it's nice to be told, but I think it's nice to be able to, have our own spin on things. But so,
there we go.
But what I wanted to get into before we get towards like the end of here today is, I think it's good to hear that you believe that things are in an overall general uphill direction, because I think the moment that the internet becomes doom and gloom and we're on a downhill, that's when things are going to change. So remember, what do you think we need to do as both creators and people on the internet, what do you think we need to do in order to, keep things going in an uphill direction?
Honestly, it's literally just the easy answer is marketing. That's the easy answer. Number one, we just got to do videos, make the formats, get it across. And as far as it goes, sure, there's a lot of people like who do the same formats over and over and over. Okay, here's this, here's this, here's this, here's just the game content. But expand it a little bit. You can do, you'll have the easy like, oh, here's how does a VTuber, here's this one, here's this. Why not do something like, okay, here's, this is technically an idea I have. Here's a poetry reading. Here's something simple for the day. Just a nice, easy words of affirmation. Just get it across. Have a nice day. Hope you. Just a nice message through the world of doom scrolling.
Yeah.
And from there, they might stop in because you said something nice.
Yeah. Something as simple as that sometimes.
Exactly.
But nevertheless, though,
I might think about it too simply, but as far as it goes, like I said, it all in all is everything's about.
Oh yeah.
Getting yourself out there, making connections. That's literally the bread and butter of everything.
But nevertheless, so ladies and gentlemen, as we get towards our final statements here today on tonight's episode, the silver lining of today's show is that while the internet is indeed changing, it is not necessarily in a downward section where you're going to have to prepare for the adpocalypse or to prepare for the downfall of the internet. It's simply a matter of us finding ways to adjust and finding ways to prepare for what's coming next. It is not the end of the world, and you are not going to suffer as much as you think. It's just a matter of patience and a matter of letting the ride and the waves go about. The silver lining should always be that things happen in the internet, and if you are proactive, patient, and willing to ask for help, you'll be just fine, and things will get better. Penprah, thank you so much for being with me here on today's episode. And of course, guys, do not forget to go check out Penprah. There will be a link to his chat over in the description. And Penprah, do you happen to stream anywhere else or post any other content anywhere?
Mainly just on Twitch, but I have been getting a bit more frequent on TikTok and of course YouTube. But as far as it goes, I think it's literally just the / or just under Penprah. But yeah,
yeah,
/ at Penprah. Yeah.
Yes, guys, don't forget to check out Penprah on the various areas in the description. And if you guys ever do want to check out some of our upcoming future content, don't forget to come check us out over on our Twitch and our YouTube. And if you guys enjoyed today's podcast, consider liking, subscribing, and checking out other podcast episodes in our playlist, as this has been, amazingly, episode 10 of the Silver Lining Podcast. I have been your host, Nico Silverado. As always, though, have a good one, have a good night, adios, sayonara, and goodbye.